Hey, you guys, welcome to our last official class lesson. I apologize for this, but this is going to be kind of a long one. So the place where it starts is it starts with these three sketches. The last class, we got ourselves there. And let's say that we decided that this was the exact direction that we were going to go in with this. Okay, we're looking at three design layouts that we happen to think are perfect. And let's go ahead and try and finish them. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to work in charcoal, okay? And I've got an HB charcoal pencil and I've got a 4B charcoal pencil, and you'll hear me sharpening them as we go. But what we're going to start to do now is we're going to start to get these compositions in moving towards finished drawings, okay? And I would be working with newsprint, but I don't have any. And what I'd love to see you guys doing is I'd love to see you guys working with newsprint. So the first thing that we're gonna do is, see, I'm looking at these compositions and I don't have a great sense of who this little guy is. Like, I've just done, this has been my sketch so far to kind of try to find this guy. I don't know what he's wearing. I don't know the character of this box. I don't really fully know the character of the room. And so we're going to start to try to find those things, okay? Now, what I'm going to recommend is I'm going to recommend working in a way that's kind of broad, right? Like, that's a lot more open. One of the things that you want to avoid is you want to avoid getting prematurely tight, okay? So let's just talk about this. I am having a problem where, so here's the boy, and let's see, I'm gonna have to move him up for us to see him. So these are his basic proportions, right? Does that kind of look like it could be we're looking for basically a 6-year-old boy, something like that. And these are his basic proportions. So what's happening with this boy? What does he look like? And I'm just moving in a really free way, okay? I'm like, okay, what does he look like? Here's a thing that I know, that when you take and you go from here to the midline to here, to make something look like a kid, what you want to do is you want to go up higher here or down lower here, okay? So eyes turn out to be lower than halfway on a kid. I've got to try this focus move. I want to turn autofocus off. I was told by our tech department that if I did a manual focus on the paper, does that work a little better? Maybe it does. Let's try it. Okay. So that's what's going to make the kid's face, that's what's going to bring his face down. Now, here's another thing to start to think about when we're designing him as a character. We're going to start to think about, what is the character of his head? Like, there's this kind of shape. There's this kind of shape. There's this kind of shape. We're talking about, like, and then there's compound shapes, right? So there's this shape that has that, but then the bottom of it is like this. Like, these are different head types. All we know is that his eyes are on the low side, right? So I'm searching around for, this guy looks like, he looks familiar. Doesn't he look familiar? Okay. There's, let's see, what other kinds of shapes are there? He could have much more of a squarish head. Okay, so his square head would be, Okay, and now we can start transitioning. We can start looking at other shapes too, like the shapes of his eyes. His eyes can be triangles, or they can be triangles like this. His nose can be a triangle. His mouth can be a rectangle, a circle, a square. And it's a good idea to just start playing with all these different kinds of things. I'm happening to kind of like this one right now, and I'm happening to kind of like this one. Those are sort of becoming my favorite. The only problem that I'm having with this one, he doesn't really look kid-like. I guess that's the thing that I'm struggling with here. I'm kind of thinking he's going to become a she. But problem, this character looks like this character looks a lot older. The small shoulders help. Widening the face helps. I think if I shorten the chin, it's going to help. I'm kind of liking it. It's having a sort of a distinctive quality. Raising the eyebrows seems to be helping a lot. Okay, I'm kind of okay with that face. That seems like an alright face. I might try it from the side. Trying to come across with the eyes, come across with the chin. Necks go in like this. Little kids, we have to make sure to have a thin enough neck, a soft enough chin. The eyes. I'm constantly kind of in this particular one. I'm finding myself fighting the age thing. So I'm like doing everything that I can to continue to make it look younger. For some reason, it's not looking very young to me. Uh, they look kind of different. This one doesn't, its profile view doesn't look quite the same as its front view. Short legs. And you can make, you can take it as cartoony or as realistic as you want. And I'm basically sketching from a sort of practiced sense of all that stuff that I've been teaching you so far. Okay, so I'm looking for feet. And I'm kind of liking this little guy. Is he going to be wearing a short sleeve shirt? I like it. I love this like look where you have a short sleeve shirt on over a long sleeve shirt. He's starting to look like, this is starting to look like a little guy, and it could be a girl too. The little kids' clothes are so cool. And stripes, possibility. Fun graphic element if you can pull them off. And charcoal lets me put tone in really fast. Like you could just never do this with a pencil. And if I switch over to the softer one, it'll go darker faster. And feel free to push it around with your finger. Come back at it. Okay, here's my little character. And I think I'll go with it. Seems okay to me for now. And oh, we had black hair. It kind of was an important part of our design. Okay, there we go. We have a little character. All right. Now we want to ask ourselves some questions about the room. We're going to be like, okay, what kind of room does this little guy, what kind of room is this thing in? And so one way to figure out the room is just to, let's look at it in the most simple way possible. We'll say we've got a room and one of the walls has a window in it, right? So now there are different kinds of houses, different kinds of rooms. One form of house has like wainscoting. It's like a line of woodwork that goes right here. That could be a kind of interesting feature if we wanted to try to draw that in. At least it adds something, right? It feels a little country. People do decorations on the wall. You know, people will have paintings. If it's going to be a kid's room, you might start to try to think up what would be interesting paintings. A lot of times the window, a lot of times people line things up, you know, but then sometimes there's an exception. Sometimes people don't line things up. Sometimes people really spread all kinds of pictures all over the walls in this kind of way, and that can be a lot of fun too. Another shape of room that we could play with, we could take, and what we're doing is, and you can even go and like you could even go and look for references for rooms that you think are kind of interesting, but we could just say, okay, say it's much more of just a kid's room. So things that you run into in a kid's room, like one thing that you run into in a kid's room on the wall, they sometimes have a scale that goes, like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, comes over like that, and you have a million little markers or something like that. Or you might have over here, there could be a bookshelf up against this wall, or it could be a little bookshelf, and it could be a toy box, a pillow, a beanbag. So let's say there could be striped wallpaper, and now we've got stripes and stripes, and our drawing is starting to kind of have a lot going on. But we don't have to use that if we don't like it. But it'd be fun. So you have to be willing to make some design choices, and then and so I'm going to just make some choices about the room. Let's say I feel like the stripes are too much. I'm going to try to come up with a nice sketch, and you'll notice this sketching is contingent on my ability to draw a nice rectangle. Okay, here's the window. Now in this sketch, I'm going to go a little bit slower than what I've been going. I've been inside of what I would consider ideation. Okay. This would go a little higher. Okay, that's a cute window. And it's not so high off the floor. There's always going to be some electric outlets around. I think I might throw in a bookshelf. And maybe a picture of a robot. Which is good because I know how to draw a robot. Okay, that's going to be that wall. Okay. And now we want to think about that box that's sitting in the room. Okay, so it's a gigantic box, and it's been shipped to this kid. And what are the details of boxes? You know, sometimes there's shipping labels on them. Sometimes they go in different directions. There can be arrows. The top of the box has something like that. Okay, so the box is good. Now I wonder what kind of floor I want to put in the room. And here's going to be, I'm just going to start doing a study for the floor. One thing I'm always tempted to do is and you can put like throw rugs, be like an area rug here, or an area rug here, or a single rug. I want to go with something like that, okay? Okay. So what I'm doing is I'm collecting studies so that I can take this drawing and try to take it further, okay? So let's see how this goes. I'm going to grab a clean piece of paper and keep my studies close, okay? So I think that I'll start out doing a drawing of my third study. So here's the third one. But now I'm going to work kind of big, okay? I don't want to have to be pressured into a small space. Okay. So, in my composition, I've got the boy, and I want to check my rule of thirds here. There's 1, 2, and here's 1, 2. So I can get his head to be coming up like right about at the thirds, okay? And he's going to be sitting here, and over here is going to be this box, and the box needs to be nice and tall, and it's sort of losing its massiveness. I think I might have to go off screen to get its massiveness to show. And the window was here. Okay. So here's a thing that I want to try to figure out. The way that the boy is sitting, it's worth studying a little bit, okay? It's worth kind of trying to get a sketch to help myself understand that. So I want to take a piece of paper, and where I can look at that, and I can look at this, and in a really loose way, let's start to find that kind of body. And in order to find it, Okay, I'm going to start with really simple shapes like these. And little kids are really limber. I think that his one foot would go there, and his other foot, his or her other foot, would go just on the other side. Could come back this way. And I have this drawing where like nothing is going on with his arms. And so I'm tempted to do this. Kind of tempted by, it might mean that I have to lower his head. Okay, not a bad start. Kind of not a bad start. I think I want to try it I think I want to try it again though. Now that I've done it once. So the body shape I think is going to be about like that. And then the head comes forward now. Okay. And now we've got his hands right here. One leg. And the foot. And let's see. I guess the other leg. And it's really nice to be doing this part of the drawing without having to worry about messing the drawing up. It's really nice to be being able to look for, and at the same time as I'm practicing this, I very well might start to think about light source, right? So the light source is on the other side of him. And a kind of a beautiful way of showing the light source on the other side of something is by having this light rim. And when I'm starting to sketch his hair now, one of the things that I want to start to do is I want to start to think about it as a flat shape, like just a mass. This is a design tool. Okay, oopsies, you can't even see them. This is a design tool, just coming up with a beautiful shape and thinking of yourself almost like some kind of sculptor. So I'm not coming up with a shape that I like at all right now for his hair. And in the earlier sketch, I had done that. Okay, that's looking better. Stripes. I love the way the stripes are working as cross contour lines, and then this was black too, if I remember correctly. Maybe that's a nice hand gesture, and then there's the other foot over here. I kind of like this. And again, the light is coming from behind it, so it's just sort of filling up the outside right there. And he might be casting a shadow this way. And going further in the studies, I might say like, okay, like, hold on 1 second here. My pencil. All right, so if I kind of like this, there's other things that I would want to get a little bit more careful about, okay? For instance, if this is going to be his hand, how does a hand look when it's tucked up underneath a chin like that? And I might take and do a big drawing of it, like that. And again, I'll probably start with a mitten. And his thumb is over on the other side. So the mitten is okay, but it's not really showing me a hand. And it's kind of turned the wrong way. It's like I'm kind of seeing the back of his hand there, and I guess I would be seeing his thumbs here. So his hand is more like, here would be the more of the mitten shape that would work for his hand. It's a little more like that, right? Okay, that's kind of better. So I would start working from, that's like kind of where I need to start to work from. So I would go, let's see. So here's the lead knuckle. And everything bends down from there. And I want to be careful not to make this hand too angular because it's just a little kid. Here's the thumb. here's the wrist. So you remember, you come up the wrist like that. You reach, the thumb shoots over. This part has a little bump right there usually. And then we move into this segment here, really of wrist bones, right? And then from there, the thumb comes out like that. It comes over and out and over. Now we have carpal bones, 4 of them. That's the longest. We start shortening over this way. Okay. And it's starting to look okay. I'm starting to feel like that's enough to move on to the other drawing. And then I was thinking of this hand here, which looks kind of like this. And this time the thumb is coming this way. What do I need to make that look good? So I'm gonna really try to draw that. Hands, faces, feet, anything like that that's showing, you're gonna wanna do a study for. It's not a bad idea. There's the thumb and over to finger and down across like that, and his other fingers might be coming out that way. Okay, that looks like I'm kind of gaining some understanding. All right. So now I feel like I've got a whole nice little bunch of studies, and I want to jump into trying to complete a drawing, okay? I'm going to go over here. Let's see, here's my studies. I just keep everything sort of close by. And we can see right off that, I need to move the, I've already really changed the gesture in the studies that I was doing. I sort of really decided that his whole body is going to be shaped, is going to be positioned in a little bit of a different way. One of the things about that is, though, that I don't really want to change the position of the head. So where's my study? Here's my study right here, okay? And I want to take that and I want to kind of try to draw it in here as best I can. But I've got a couple of things that I need to watch out for. One of them is, I don't really want to move his head, okay? Another one is, I don't want to make him too much bigger or smaller because I want the relationship that I've already built with that box. And I just know so much more than I knew at the outset. And so part of me feels like, oh, I'm getting lucky. But I'm not really getting lucky. It's more like I guess it's like that old expression, luck favors the prepared, right? Okay. So I'm taking the head up a lot further this time, and I'm going back to my studies. Like I'm like looking at, okay, remember the face that I was working on? I kind of thought the face had become cute in certain ways, and I want to try to show that face. It's really important that the eyes are super low, so I want to push the eyes to being like as low as I can, like taking them down to, and then the nose will be here, and it's just he's got this little pug nose. And the lip and the chin. Ear is directly in line with the nose and the brow, which will make this ear tremendously big, which is okay. And keeping in mind the shape that I was trying to design. Remember when I was saying that this shape it has its own identity as a shape, and the cute parts about it before. So I'm sort of referencing the study where I had started to consider the hair shape, and I think it's cute when little kids are sort of hidden behind their hair. And I'm going to soften this line, and I'm going to move the eye a little bit forward. And there's supposed to be this expression on this face of concentration and wonder. Okay. The stripes are these cool cross contours. And I'm not going to go all the way to as dark as I'm going to eventually go with these. Okay, fun. Okay, and now to sketch the room behind him. So I decided that the windowsill would go like this. So there's the window behind him. And sorry about this. Here's his other hand, his other foot, and the pants are a little dark. Okay. And at this point, I'm going to use the floor. I'm saying that the floor is going to be a wooden floor with a carpet on it, okay? But before I do that, I want to draw the box. Okay, so here's the box. And the box has these stickers on it. And it has a top. Okay, then what I want to go look at is I want to go look at this, and I want to see my tone pattern, okay? And I want to start to gradually fill in this one, the same tone pattern, and now we'll start to find that charcoal has this great advantage, because I can so easily bring a tone in. So in my study, the back wall is a little bit of a mid-tone. And I'm going to take that mid-tone right over the windows. And you want to be careful not to just like go crazy right now. You want to be careful to another thing is now we have to start to be careful about staying off the drawing. So what I'm going to do is grab a piece of typing paper. Typing paper. And now I'm going to be working with my hand on top of the typing paper. In my sketch, this was darker. Okay, so part of what I'm wanting for us to pay attention to is the order that I'm going about building this composition in. Notice that I'm not just like sitting down and going for a finished drawing. I've got this whole process that leads up to a finished drawing, right? So I like do a whole sketching stage where I'm looking for ideas. I'm even talking to myself about what the story is that I'm trying to work on. Then I move into, then I move into laying out compositions. I go through lots of different compositions, at least a few. And then when I decide on a composition that I like, I do a set of studies. And all of it just sort of sets me up and for right now, I'm going to leave this part of his face white. And I think I'm going to try to build a little bit more contrast between him and the background. Okay. And then we had, this was black, right? And this is sort of the process that I use to try to get a drawing together, okay? I stay at it longer. So I just wanted to show you guys kind of how a drawing is built, right? So kind of wrapping up everything that we've done in the class. Like we've worked on drawing people, we've worked on drawing perspective, we've worked on drawing objects, and now it's adding the element of composition and story and process. So I want to draw just a tiny bit more. And while you're doing this, you want to sharpen your pencils a lot. And you can kind of slow down and just really start to work through the details of the drawing. you know, the floor we had decided on, this whole set of details that are on the floor. And on and on and on. Okay.